Hello, my name is Randall Long, and I've had the privilege of being the principal of Heights Christian School's Chino Hills campus for the past 24 years. In that time, I've learned some things that make Heights distinct and special, and I'd like to share those with you. The first is our vision statement. Our goal, first of all, is to educate students to know Christ personally. That is the most important decision any person can ever make. And it's the only decision that we can make that has eternal ramifications. It's also the heart of our mission statement, which is to lead children and their families into a relationship with Jesus Christ. The second part of our vision statement is that we want to educate our students to excel academically. We want to give them the best education possible. We don't want them to just excel here. We want them to excel at the next level as well. But we also recognize that the fear of the Lord, truly knowing and understanding Him, is the beginning of knowledge and wisdom. That's where a great education really begins. Third, we want to educate our students to think biblically. Something has to drive every decision we make in life. At Heights, the Bible is our absolute standard of truth. That's where we go when we have to make decisions. This is also something that sets us apart from every public school. It's a great distinctive for us. And fourth, we want to educate our students to positively impact their community for Christ. We need to be a city on a hill so others can see how Jesus impacts our lives and how He can impact theirs as well. At Heights, students learn what it means to think of and serve others, not just focus on themselves. At Heights, we also have three core values. The first, which you might have guessed by now, is that we are centered on Christ. Jesus should be at the center of everything we do. Every employee at Heights Christian Schools testifies to a personal relationship with Jesus, and each recognizes that they are a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So whether we're on the playground, in the classroom, or in the office, we take a biblical approach to everything we do. We strive for excellence in every task, and we hold ourselves to the highest standard. Our second core value is that we are focused on all students. God created each of us unique, and that's how we view our students. Nobody is exactly the same. Therefore, we want to help each student grow academically, physically, and spiritually in a safe, loving, and nurturing environment. Our third core value is that we are rooted in partnership with parents. Parents are the primary teacher of their children. Heights is here to partner with them. As such, we work towards excellent home and school communication and collaboration. And when that happens, the student is the great beneficiary. As a long-serving principal of Heights Christian Schools and a former parent, I believe a Heights education is invaluable. When my two sons went here, they were greatly blessed by the school and by their teachers. I can't imagine a school that provides a better education in a warm, loving environment where students are challenged to grow in their relationship with Jesus every day. Now, we also recognize that sending your child to Heights is an investment. But what better investment is there than in your child? The payout is huge. Your child will receive a great education and have the opportunity to grow in their faith every day. Cars, they depreciate. Real estate always needs repairs. Your child, however, is your legacy and your most important investment. So I'd like to thank you for your interest in Heights Christian Schools. You are about to make a most important decision. Which school will you choose for your child's education? And how will that school impact your child and their future? If you choose Heights, we'd love to partner with you in this most important decision of your child's life. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm so glad to have been asked to share with you today a little bit about kindergarten and what the transition from preschool to elementary school typically looks like. I don't know about all of you, but when I attend a conference or a class, I typically like to know a little bit about the person speaking before I sit and listen to them for a while. So, before we delve into the beautiful world of 5-year-olds, let me take a quick minute or two to introduce myself to all of you. I'm Jody Whittemore, and Heights is my second home. It always has been, and I am hopeful that it always will be. I am a former Heights student. I attended Heights from kindergarten through 6th grade, leaving only when my grade warranted a new school. During high school, I started working in daycare and with time worked my way up. At the same campus that I attended as a child, I taught TK, kindergarten, 3rd, and 4th grade, all before stepping into my current position as school principal. In addition to those 3 roles, perhaps my most important role to date is that of being a Heights mom. Hemi, my quiet, calm thinker, is in 5th grade and attends our intermediate program in La Mirada. And Tennyson, my loud, animated goofball, is currently in TK with me at the Brea campus. My various roles within HCS provide me with a unique perspective and appreciation for this amazing community that is led by men and women who love Jesus and kids. That is a winning combination in my book. Now that you know a little bit about me, let's take a minute to laugh or cry together. I found this comic a few months ago and quickly paid to get an unpixelated version because it so perfectly captures what education feels like today. Here, a mom can be seen touring a preschool. She clearly thinks that her child is bright, only to discover that the other kids are doing what she did in high school, college, or maybe even never. Sure, it is a bit over the top, but there is truth to the idea behind it. We are asking kids to do things we never would have had them do 20 years ago. Can they do it? Sure, some can, but what about all of the others? Think back for a minute to your own kindergarten experience. How old were you? Did you attend a full day or half day program? What did you learn? What do you remember the most? Just 20 years ago, the average age for kindergarten entry was in fact 4.5 years old. Most schools were half day, and the few full day programs included a nap time. You likely learned things like letters and their sounds, numbers 1 through 10 and their value. You often practiced scissor skills and pencil grip. When asked about their top memories from kindergarten, most parents have smiled, recalling time spent doing art, eating snack, playing at centers, participating in recess, and even reading stories. When you were 5, a sample activity probably looked something like this. Boys and girls, this is a king. The word king starts with the letter K and the sound k, k. A king is a boy and usually lives in a really big castle. This is a queen. The word queen starts with the letter Q and the sound qu, qu. A queen is a girl and also lives in a really big castle. Boys and girls, can you name anything else that begins with the letter K or Q? Fast forward to today. What will kindergarten be like for your child? Kindergarten today can easily be described as busy, fast, and rigorous. Kindergarten students are expected to master concepts in math, reading, oral and written language, science, and social studies. And if that isn't enough, we also need to make sure that each child continues on the path of well-roundedness with exposure to the arts, music, foreign language, athletics, and technology. Kindergarten is jam-packed. I found a great website a few years back that is noted here. On this site, the content standards at each grade level have been written in language that is easy to understand and apply. At this level, I can ... If you have a minute and are interested, I highly recommend looking there. For the sake of time, I'd like to take a minute to highlight a handful of kindergarten standards as they relate to the 3 biggies: reading, language, and math. Up first, reading. We typically evaluate 2 separate skills for reading: fluency and comprehension. With regards to fluency, by the end of kindergarten, students should be able to identify the name and sounds of all 26 letters, identify sounds within words specifically related to rhyming words, word families, syllables, and blends, and they will also begin to read books and stories independently. With regards to comprehension, by the end of kindergarten, students will be able to ask logical questions, retell a story, recall characters, setting, and plot, draw connections and comparisons between people, events, and ideas, and identify the main topic and important details. Next up, written and oral language. By the end of kindergarten, students should be able to communicate orally, both in front of a group and in small groups. Students will be able to use written text to communicate. This begins with the proper formation of upper and lowercase letters and then transforms into written words and sentences that explain, share opinions, and tell stories. When writing, students will use nouns and verbs, correct punctuation, and inventive spelling. They will also edit and revise their work. For fun, I have included an example of inventive spelling here. I find these little love letters all over my house these days, and I thought I would read one for you. It says, Mommy, I love you. You are my favorite. You are my friend. Love, Tennyson Rue. I want you to pay close attention to the word my. This is the perfect example of inventive spelling. When my little girl hears that word, she hears 3 sounds, not 2. I, y. So in her letter to me, it's written as M-I-Y. That's how she has invented the word my. The last of the 3 biggies to look at is math. By the end of kindergarten, students should be able to count by ones and tens, write numbers through 20, identify more or less, add and subtract, solve word problems, identify number bonds, and understand place value. Kindergarten is busy, kindergarten is fast, and kindergarten is rigorous. Let's revisit that king and queen that we talked about earlier. A sample activity today would look something like this. Boys and girls, let's all come to the carpet together. This morning, we read a story about a king and a queen during reading groups. With a partner, you will be completing a Venn diagram with 3 examples of how the king and queen in our story are similar and 3 examples of how they are different. Let's look back at that comment from before. If preschool feels like this today, what will kindergarten feel like? How about 3rd grade, junior high, even high school? Today, we are focusing on kindergarten, but the truth is that the decision to start kindergarten is not a decision made just for kindergarten. It is a long-term decision that can have a massive impact on how your child does throughout school at every level, behaviorally, socially, emotionally, and academically. Now that we have an idea about what kindergarten looks like, let's take a little time to talk about what determines readiness. We at Heights believe that there is no one single factor that determines kindergarten readiness. Instead, it is a combination of multiple factors all working together. The first thing to look at is your child's chronological age. In 2009, the state of California changed the entry date for kindergarten eligibility from December 1st to September 1st. This was done in response to the changes in kindergarten and the reality that most 4.5-year-olds simply are not ready for this. In addition to chronological age, we also look at your child's developmental growth across 8 different domains. We look at personal social skills, language skills, motor skills as they relate to fine motor, visual motor, and gross motor. We look at cognitive skills, your child's ability to understand concepts and reason, as well as math awareness and body awareness. We look at your child's overall maturity. Is your child able to communicate their needs and wants with confidence? Are they able to complete multi-step tasks independently? Is your child able to tackle challenging material without becoming overwhelmed and tearful? Finally, the last thing that we take into consideration is academic experiences. How familiar is your child with letters and the sounds that they make? Do they understand that there's a difference between numbers and letters? Can your child compare 1 or 2 things? It's easy to understand chronological age, overall maturity, and even academic experiences. But oftentimes, parents ask us to talk a little bit about the 8 developmental domains. So that's what we're going to discuss right now. First up, personal social skills. As students begin school, personal responsibility and independence become increasingly important. In school, your child will need to follow a classroom routine, play cooperatively with others, participate in new activities willingly. Children ready for kindergarten can typically answer a series of questions about themselves. They can typically identify personal responsibilities that they have at home. They can listen and respond appropriately to questions and prompts, and they can carry on a 2-way conversation with adults. The perfect example for this would be if we were to ask a child, do you have any brothers or sisters? It's funny to watch as kids entering TK in the fall answer that question. They discuss their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, and even sometimes their pets. Whereas a child that's ready for kindergarten will simply say something like, I have 2 brothers, and they understand that their cousins, their pets, and their aunts and uncles are not the same thing as their brothers or sisters. Next up is language development. A solid foundation in language and literacy is crucial for student success in English language arts. In school, your child will need to read words, sentences, and short stories. They will need to be able to write words and sentences to describe, answer, and respond. and they will need to be able to form words using inventive spelling. Children ready for kindergarten can typically follow positional directions, describe common household objects, identify opposites, repeat silly sentences, and even apply knowledge of vocabulary terms to answer different questions asked. An example of this would be if we were to ask your child, "What is this? Can you tell me about this item?" A child ready for kindergarten would typically respond with something like, "This is a key. It can open a door." Or, "Hey, my mom has one of those keys. She uses it to start her car." Next, let's focus on motor development. Under the broad umbrella of motor skills, the first one that we'll discuss is fine motor skills. That's the strong coordination of those small muscles in the hands and fingers. In school, your child will need to hold a pencil or a crayon to write, draw, and color. They'll need to be able to hold and use scissors for cutting, and they'll need to be able to grasp small objects to complete detailed tasks like art projects or science labs. Children ready for kindergarten can typically replicate structures like the one you see to the right. They can typically manipulate tiny objects, cut simple shapes, and even write their name. I always love looking at actual student work. 6 months doesn't make much of a difference when you are 40, but when you are 4, the difference can be huge. Ryder, Hayden, and Jacob are all 4.5. Ryder, in blue, wrote the correct number of letters, but none of the letters written are actually in his name. Hayden, in red, got most of the letters correct, but they are jumbled up a bit, and there is both a substitution and an omission. Finally, Jacob, same age with all of the letters and in the correct order. Fast forward 6 months, and you have Charlotte and Caitlin. Both are just over 5 years old, and you will notice that they both wrote all of the letters in the correct order and in a nice, neat line. Not too big, not too small. 6 months really does make a difference. The second area of motor development worth looking at is visual motor skills. In school, students will often be asked to copy things from the whiteboard. A task as common as this requires multiple skills. They have to first focus on an object that is on display, then take a quick mental picture of the object, and finally recreate the object on their own paper. Children ready for kindergarten can typically focus on and recognize characteristics of shapes, letters, and words, and then recreate those objects seen on the board onto their own paper. The last of the motor skills to talk about is gross motor skills. Coordination and control of the large muscles of the body are important as students physically explore their environment. Children ready for kindergarten can typically jump, walk heel to toe, balance for 10 seconds, catch a ball that's been bounced to him or her, and also hop on one foot. Skills begin with individual skills, gradually turn into complex skills, and then work their way into group games and activities. The next domain we like to look at is that of concept development. In school, your child will need to be able to understand basic relationships, apply factual knowledge and reasoning skills to determine whether something is possible or not, and recall previously learned material. Children ready for kindergarten can typically respond to various prompts. They can identify and name the colors of the rainbow. They can decide whether something is possible or not. When assessing concept development, we might ask your child, "What should you do if you are cold?" A response that's appropriate for a child ready to go to kindergarten would be, "I would wear a jacket," or "I would grab my blanket." We also like to look at math skills. We certainly are not looking for algebraic geniuses, but in order for a kindergarten student to solve a numerical equation, he or she must have a solid foundation of the basics in math. They must have strong number sense, the ability to pattern and classify, and even begin to measure. Children ready for kindergarten can identify and name basic shapes. They can complete and create a pattern using blocks like the one you see on your screen. They can identify numbers and their value and use mathematical vocabulary to attack and solve a problem. The last of the 8 developmental domains that we like to look at is body awareness. An awareness of yourself and your position in space is necessary for understanding the relationship between one part of the body and another. Children ready for kindergarten can typically identify various body parts. Can you show me your chin? How about your knees? How about your belly? Where are your feet? And they can also typically draw a self-portrait with a trunk and main body parts attached: arms, legs, a head. Let me draw your attention to the Picasso in the corner of your screen. I must admit that when my now 11-year-old, then 4-year-old, drew this lovely image of herself, I was so very proud. She remembered her hair and her fingers, and I like to think that that thing on the top is her bow. However, look a little closer and you can see that her nose is in fact under her mouth, and there is something missing, a huge something, her body. This is normal and developmentally appropriate. As children move between abstract thinking and concrete operational thinking, their drawings are often classified as representational. As children grow, what once looked like a lump and 4 lines flying through the air transforms into a recognizable person with a head, body, limbs, and facial features standing firmly on a horizon. Let's take a look at what 6 months can do when it comes to drawing a self-portrait. Both Charlie and Laurel are 4 years and 6 months. You can see that both of them remembered their head, and that is an excellent place to start. Then, a month or 2 later, we have Amelia and Owen. Head, check. Trunk, check. Hair and legs, check, check. Amelia even has a heart, but one thing is missing from both of them. They have no arms. Next, Jack and Benji are still flying, but you can see growth. They have all of their limbs that are attached to a trunk, which is then attached to their head. Finally, Abby and Hannah, not only do we have all of the body parts, but we also have expression and tiny details. You'll notice they both have eyelashes. You'll notice there's also a line between their shirt and their skirt, or their shirt and their pants. Just a few more details, a little bit more. Finally, let's look quickly at academic experiences. The reality is that if your child is ready developmentally, the academics will come really fast, even if they don't have all of the experiences yet. Entering kindergarten with the following skills certainly helps, but is not required. Is your child able to name all of the upper and lowercase letters? Can your child determine if 2 sounds are the same or different? Can your child listen to a story and sequence 3 to 5 events like the one here? Can your child count to 20, identify numbers 0 through 10, and represent their value with objects? And is your child able to draw comparisons? If shown a picture of a lion and a cat, would your child be able to compare those 2 items and tell you how they are the same and how they are different? We recognize that there are so many things to consider and to prepare for, and that is why we at Heights are here to help. At Heights, we assess all students entering TK and kindergarten. This is not to see if your child will pass a test, but instead to gain insight into your child's readiness to start school. The assessment is both developmental and academic. For each domain, we engage with your child in a variety of activities, similar to the examples I gave earlier. We begin with activities that are typically mastered at 3.5 years of age and move up in 6-month increments. If your child is successful, we continue. If your child struggles, we stop. Wherever your child stops, we determine that to be his or her developmental age in that domain. After that, we make note about your child's overall maturity during the assessment. Was she a squirmy wormy or attentive? Did he work cooperatively or silently protest? Did she cry when left, or did she walk in with her head held high? Finally, we look at the big picture and compare your child's overall readiness to his or her age. We are definitely not looking for all students to be at such and such a range, but instead within a range unique to their specific birthday. If your child is younger and less mature, we're going to encourage you to choose TK. TK can best be described as a step up from pre-K and a step down from kindergarten. TK is structured like kindergarten. It's a full-day program with no nap. There's solid biblical instruction throughout each day. We have a hands-on approach to learning in each TK classroom. Quarterly reports of progress are issued. Students participate in weekly auxiliary classes. They have a 15-minute recess in the morning and afternoon, and a 45-minute lunch period in the middle of each day. Homework is provided each week, and we use state-adopted curriculum similar to what we use in kindergarten and up. In addition to being structured like kindergarten, TK is flexible like pre-K. Students learn how to be a successful student and gain personal responsibility. The schedule in TK is based on student performance. If we need to rewind and do it all over again, we do that. There's no pressure to master skills such as independent reading and telling time. The lessons are shorter, they're broken down into small segments, and play breaks and wiggle time is built in. TK today looks a lot like kindergarten did when you went to school. There's time for art, they enjoy snack, centers, recess, and certainly story time. A few examples of TK work are presented here. In TK, it's all about practice, lots and lots of practice. If your child is age appropriate and developmentally ready, we're going to encourage you to take the jump and choose kindergarten. Our kindergarten provides a solid academic foundation to build on. Some of the highlights to our kindergarten are we offer small class sizes, we offer a full day program with no nap, there's solid biblical instruction taught throughout each day. We use a hands-on approach to learning with interactive centers and manipulatives. We participate in group and independent projects. Students participate in weekly auxiliary classes, morning and afternoon recess. They also have a 45-minute lunch period, and there's weekly homework, as well as quarterly report cards and progress reports. In a non-COVID year, we offer 3 off-campus field trips and 1 on-site assembly as well. All of our classes use curriculum that is Common Core aligned and typically state adopted. In science and social studies, we use Houghton Mifflin. In language arts and mathematics, we use Pearson. For penmanship, we use Learning Without Tears. And in Bible, we use a program called Deep Roots. Here are a few examples of some of the work that our kindergartners are currently doing. You'll notice it's not all about practice, but more about mastery of content. Just this last week, one of our kindergartners wrote the following sentences that you see here. She wrote, "My snowman likes to stay at my house. She likes to throw snowballs at her friends." Regardless of the program that you choose, we believe that your child will flourish at Heights. We offer small class sizes. We offer full day programs in both TK and kindergarten. There's biblical truth woven throughout everything that we do. Our campuses are small, and yet we have the large district support backing us. And most importantly, we offer choice. In the midst of COVID, you can see that more clearly than ever before, as we offer an on-campus option with 5 full days on campus, or a distance learning option for those families that are not quite ready to send their child back to school. I know that I essentially just threw a ton of information at you. Our goal is certainly not to scare you, but instead to empower you to make the absolute best choice that you can for your child. We at Heights would love to partner with you and believe that the programs we offer are exceptional. If you have any questions moving forward, myself, along with the entire administrative team at Heights, would love to chat with you. All you have to do is call.
Hi, my name is Helen Cunningham, and I'm the Distance Learning Director for Heights Christian Schools. And I want to share with you a little bit about our response to COVID. We recognize that every family has different needs, concerns, and risk factors, so choice matters. So Heights has offered 2 learning options, one that's in person and on campus, and one that is a distance learning option. On campus, the health and well-being of our students, staff, and faculty are top priority. So to maintain a safe and healthy environment, we've implemented some heightened safety protocols. I know that you're going to get a brochure and you can read all of them there, but I just wanted to highlight a few. As soon as anyone comes on campus, we do take temperature checks of everyone, students and adults included. And if anybody is sick, they need to stay at home. And anybody who may have been infected or exposed needs to quarantine or isolate. We also implement social distancing measures. We have desks that are spaced farther apart. We also include acrylic partitions in the classroom and outside on the lunch tables when students are eating lunch. Our students maintain cohorts so that they are with the same grouping throughout the day. And we also limit large gatherings as well as visitors on campus. All adults and students in grades 3 through 8 have to wear masks. And we also promote personal hygiene. Students frequently wash hands anytime they enter the classroom. And we also teach the covering of coughs and sneezing. As far as cleaning and sanitizing high traffic areas and frequently touch surfaces or sanitize frequently throughout the day. And we have nightly sanitation and disinfecting done by a professional janitorial crew. So far, these safety protocols have kept our campuses safe and healthy at this time. Our other option is our distance learning option. It is a 100% virtual option, but it includes a high level of teacher support. Teachers teach live through Zoom classes in the morning. We call that synchronous learning, and students get frequent breaks throughout the day. In the afternoons, students get independent work and watch videos of auxiliary classes, which we call asynchronous learning. And those auxiliary classes are Spanish, music, and tech, which they receive once a week, and PE daily. Our families overall have been very happy with both options, and based on availability or a family's needs, we've been able to have some families move from distance learning to on-campus, or on-campus students move to distance learning. But we are very pleased with the options that we have to offer, and we hope that based on your families and needs that you choose to be with Heights as well.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Andrea Taylor, and I serve as principal at our La Mirada campus. I've had the privilege of working with Heights for many years. I have been a preschool teacher, an elementary teacher, and have been part of our admin team for the past 8 years. I've also been really privileged to raise my own daughters from babies through 8th grade in our Heights program. I definitely consider Heights my family, and I'm excited that you're considering becoming a part of our Heights family. And I want to thank you for joining us to learn all about TK and kindergarten and readiness. I really hope that we have answered your questions as you've reviewed this video. I'm going to take a couple minutes and just follow up with what are the next steps when you're ready to enroll your child. Enrollment's going to open March 1st for our current families. You will be considered a current family if you are at any of our Heights campuses. So if you're at one of our preschool campuses and you're coming this direction, you will be actually sent a link to re-enroll. We want to encourage our families to register early. We have had a lot of interest in our program for the coming school year, and we want to make sure that your child has a spot. As a reminder, we are going to have 2 tracks this coming school year. We will have a fully on-site in the classroom learning experience for our students, and we will have a distance learning experience available. And that distance learning piece will include live instruction in all core subjects. It will not be recorded instruction for those core subjects. You're going to start the enrollment process online. As I had said, if you're a current family, you're going to be sent a link to start that re-enrollment process. If you're a new family, you'll start that application on our website. So just really quickly, March 1st, it's beginning for our current families. March 15th, it will open for new families. And if you're a new family, you'll log into our website and you'll apply through our website. Once our office receives your child's re-enrollment or application, they're going to reach out to you and they will start walking you through the next steps. Some of those next steps include collecting important documents such as vaccination records that will be included in your child's permanent cumulative file. They will also schedule your child's readiness assessment. Our plan is to complete readiness assessments April 27th through 30th, although we'll continue with the assessment process as we have availability in our classes. Following the readiness assessment, you're going to meet with the administrator at your child's Heights campus. And we are more than willing to have you on campus, or we can schedule a Zoom appointment and we will look at their readiness assessment and we will make the best decision regarding their placement for the coming school year. If you have further questions about a specific Heights campus, please reach out to the office. We would love to schedule a personal tour with you so that you can come on campus, peek in classrooms, ask a few questions, or we can schedule a Zoom meeting to answer any further questions that you have as well. Thank you again and have a great day.